book is a story of how I did that and how it was seemingly easy to just stand up and fight for what you know is right, because that's missing in the world. And so the forewords are written by other second, third, fourth generation chiropractors like Ben Tapper and Cindy Shaft-Toll, whom I love. They tell the story for me of what it's like to not be scared, to grow up getting adjusted, to grow up not scared of disease, to grow up without interventions, so that when I tell the story of how I stood up for my kid, the groundwork is set. So I'm really proud of the book.
This episode of The Chiropractor's Edge is brought to you by Mango Voice. Mango Voice is an enterprise-grade VoIP system based in the cloud. Whether you're at the office or on the go, Mango gives you the tools you need to engage customers like never before. This is a product that my team can't live without, and neither should yours. Welcome to yet again another podcast here at The Chiropractor's Edge. I'm your host, Dr. Jake Hansen. And I am stoked. We have a subluxation slayer. As I was asking Kim, what's your morning routine? You got up, you're like, I pray, meditation, make lunches, and then I slay subluxations. And I was like, heck yeah! Like that's just the way we roll. You guys, we got Dr. Kim Thor here. Kim, welcome to the Chiropractor's Edge. So excited to have you here. This is 4 years in the making. Getting you on here. So this is we're super excited to have you on board.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to do it too.
Yeah. So for those who may not know Kim, so Kim and I met at Mile High. So Dr. Kim is a second generation chiropractor. She knows the benefits of the adjustment. She's a graduate of Palmer College in 2009. Currently practices in Nebraska. And congratulations on the publication of your second book, Growing Up Fearless, which I would love to talk about here. You really strive to take care of yourself, take care of your kids, take care of patients, and slay subluxation. So let's let the world know who you are and what makes you tick. So yeah, again, welcome to the podcast. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm a second generation chiropractor. So I grew up getting adjusted. I grew up not scared of disease or fevers or bugs in the air, like we played in the dirt. I was breastfed. A fever was a chance to become healthier because you get more fighters after the fact, The only time I really remember going to the medical doctor is to get a piece of paper to go to school because we said no thank you to things back then. And, now as a mother, it's different when I sign the papers. And as a chiropractor, I love natural health, man. I walk in a room with nothing and the world gets better through myself, not because of myself. It's so cool, to see a baby. It's my favorite patient. They don't hurt my shoulder like a side posture does sometimes, but honestly, to see the results without them being able to say ouch is so cool. And I didn't really set out to be a pediatric chiropractor, but when you change the lives of babies, the mothers talk and then you become that. So I kind of ran with it. And then, in the last 4 years, the health of the world has been scary for most of society. And I wasn't scared and we never masked. And I was ready to stand up to the man, and I wanted more people there with me. And so my fire is lighted by trying to make bravery contagious in the world because I'd like a little bit more.
So tell me more about so growing up in chiropractic. I did not have the privilege of growing up in chiropractic. Incredible family, incredible parents, incredible upbringing. It's one of those things that I think my parents did the best they could with what they had, but it wasn't part of our lifestyle. And we grew up in if you're sick, you take a pill. If you're sick, you get a shot. If you're sick, you do these things. Yeah. So talk to me about growing up fearless.
Well, to be quite honest, when I talk to other chiropractors, when to make a video, you make a video in your office when your blood pressure goes up. Mine goes up when I can get something quick and I'm like, yes, we did it. The world is healthier. And I also have a blood pressure increase when I get pissed. Like, why did you wait until the 8th ear infection to bring to your child? How has your baby had a fever for 5 days and you haven't found me yet? Why didn't you bring him to me on the way home from the hospital? Translate that to adults. There's a whole bunch of reasons why I can get pissed. But in that circumstance, the kids went to school and it was fine. And then 3 days later, COVID was coming and we had to put a mask on. And I was reading an email that said, tomorrow, put them in a mask. And it didn't resonate with me or my principles or my gut or my intuition or my soul or my mama bear fierceness. None of that. I had a line in the sand significantly. And they're the only ones in their class without one on. And for me, it was seemingly easy to do so. And I wasn't scared. And, parents later in the year would be like, oh, what about summer school when it's hot? How'd you do that, Kim? How did you do that? And we got the same email. So I took the kids to Disney World, like a year after, and I'm like thinking back about it. And I just had to tell more people and I had to write it down, and not everywhere in the world was it that easy, but nobody really seemingly overall was brave enough to stand up or to stand up and do something or to stand up and open their mouth or to stand up and raise their hand like a simple gesture, a simple change, a simple choice. And some people were probably just like, oh, well, the school says it's good. But it raised my blood pressure so much that I didn't know what to do with myself. So first, I got a giant canvas with paint and I splattered the heck out of it. And then I went to Mile High by myself with the windows down, 7 hours in the car to the mountains. It was great with the music loud. And then it wasn't enough. So I wrote the book. Originally, I had a picture of my child in the kindergarten room, and she's the only one without a mask on. And people would send me the picture of back in the Hitler days when
Oh
there would
yeah.
be one person not saluting. And to feel that deep, heavy, gross feeling that I got when that picture was sent to me multiple times was like, ah, I've got this on my shoulders, on my back, because it's the life I'm living. So I had to be loud about it. So I tried to put that exact picture on the book, and the school didn't like it. So we had to change the picture. But the book is a story of how I did that and how it was seemingly easy to just stand up and fight for what you know is right, because that's missing in the world. And so the forewords are written by other second, third, fourth generation chiropractors like Ben Tapper and Cindy Shaft Toll, whom I love. They tell the story for me of what it's like to not be scared, to grow up getting adjusted, to grow up not scared of disease, to grow up without interventions, so that when I tell the story of how I stood up for my kid, the groundwork is set. So I'm really proud of the book.
That is amazing, and we hear all the time that hindsight is 2020, right? The great, the Spanish flu pandemic and 1917, 19, 18, you hear what happened and you would think, like, I remember when COVID, when we're hearing all this stuff, I'm thinking, oh, 100 years ago, we figured this out, like piece of cake, chiropractic, looking at all the such people who saw chiropractors, they lived, as opposed to those who sought other measures, they all died. And it's like, yeah, we've got this down. You look at our forefathers and our mothers who were the pioneers in chiropractic, who would go to jail and treat from jail. And it's cool to read, and you're like, oh, I would do that. But when stuff hits the fan, it's unless you are truly founded when a problem occurs, what do you fall back on, right? And I love that with your background. I mean, you were blessed to you're again second generation chiropractor, grew up with it. But instead of giving up or giving in, you decided to stand up and to be fearless and to share that. And I love that, because those things are so inspirational to all of us. I have a good buddy here in Colorado. His name's Dr. Mike Lynch. He's the president of the CCA here, the Colorado Chiropractic Association, and former military. And he said, Jake, if push came to shove, if you're in an all-out fight and there's someone who's pretty much equal to you, you all have the same advantages. Either you're equally fit. You're jujitsu masters, black belt masters. There's no weapons. He goes, who's going to win that fight? If everything seems kind of equal, who's going to win that fight? And I'm thinking, oh, the one who has the most drive, the most courage. And he goes, it's whose buddy shows up first. So the one who's in the fight, if all things are considered equal, whose buddy's going to show up? Because that guy's going to win, that girl's going to win every single time. And that's that's what's partly is what's inspired me by you, is you've written that book that allows us to be able to say, and how you live your life. You are so authentic in what you live that it's inspirational to say, I want that. I'm going to be, when there's a fight, I'm going to stand next to Kim, and we're going to have an army behind us. But you guys, that's what it takes. What foundation do you have when crap hits the fan? When something happens, are you going to give up? Are you going to give in? Are you going to stand up and stand out? And there's 100 different ways to do that, but are you going to stand for what is right, for what you believe? If you are acting out of true authenticity, if you are a voice
We had not too long ago, we had a meeting where the agenda for doing shots, not vaccines, but do like pain injection was going to be put all across the board. And I'm looking around thinking, this is an obvious no. And they wanted this to happen. They had scheduled it at the last hour, let people know, an hour before the meeting happened. We were able to get there and shut this thing down. And you'd think, man, how could this possibly be a thing that people would want to do in their typical chiropractic practice? But you guys, if you're not involved in your local in local politics, if you're not involved in global, especially in chiropractic, the ability to practice is going to be taken away at some point. And so where are you founded? What are you being involved in?
Only if we
And
let them, though, sir.
that's right. That's right. So thank you for standing up and thank you for standing out. I really appreciate that. So how do you do what you do successfully? I always ask before the podcast begins, the week or two before, I always ask our practice members, I ask the members of the Chiropractor's Edge. I said, hey, Dr. Kim's coming on, Mama practicing. So the people ask us, how do you do it, right? How do you run a practice? And there's no one way to run a practice, but you need to find a way. So tell us about how you are able to counterbalance efficiently what you do that allows you to have joy in what you do. So give us kind of a glimpse of what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, I think for me, the best part is living in the moment. Balance doesn't exist. It's not a real thing, I don't think. I
Correct.
think that, like right now, I'm an interviewee on your fantastic podcast. Then I'll put my doctor hat on and go slay those subluxations in the room with patients. For lunch, I'm going to go to yoga. After that, I'm going to be a mother and have lunch with my baby. My husband stays at home with my kids, which is awesome. So I get to go have lunch with them, Then I'll come back, see more patients, do it again as a chiropractor. But every different activity I'm doing, I wear one hat at a time. And I think that's the trick. If you live so much in the moment, you don't have to worry about what's coming. You don't have to worry about the next minute. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. We're solid in what you believe. You can feel comfortable with that, comfortable enough to answer any questions that come at you. Like years ago, I was deemed an essential worker. I got that hat too. Next door in Colorado, you guys were not. It's a silly thing in my head. I wanted to raise my hand and ask questions, and there was nowhere to do that, And the
Right.
quote of BJ Palmer, within the law, without the law, kept coming to my head. But when you're so founded, like you said, there's not a hesitation or a hiccup or a question or a, how do I do this, or should I do this? It's of course that resonates, or of course that doesn't. And in a room with a patient, intuition is huge, like if you feel like your exam has a gray area of a yellow flag, don't ignore that. If you're in a hurry, go to lunch, you might ignore that. If you're in the moment and the only patient that matters is the patient in front of you, that nothing else matters, and you will not ignore the yellow flag, for example.
So like truly being present is what you've discovered then. So
Yeah.
is there a time where it hit you of, man, being present paid off in this regard, in your personal life, your kids' life, or practice life? Is there a moment where you feel that really hit hard for you to the point where you live that now daily? Like, was there a one-time experience that where you're like, oh my gosh, this paid dividends for me, or it didn't? Is there a time where that present time consciousness really hit home for you, where to the point where you can live it now daily?
I think it was a gradual thing. And I think it took a
Okay.
lot of self-reflection. So I was in a group practice, and then I started my own cash practice, and then it's like you start over kind of, and so in the
Sure.
beginning it's hard to live in the moment because you want something you don't have yet, and then with time it grew, and I was able to just sit in it and live in it and love it a little more. And then with time you start to really love your life, and I started doing more yoga. That helped me live in the moment. It helped my body feel better. My nutrition got better, my hydration got better, my sleep got better, the kids got a little older, and all of it just kind of allowed me to appreciate my life more, I think. And then when you realize you're happy inside, you have what you need for like the core foundation of happiness, and you have little sparks, it all comes in waves, but you have little sparks of, wow, I really stinking like my life. And like, wow, this really is my life. And like, I get to go speak on a stage on an airplane in places, and come home to my 2-year-old and make the world a healthier place. Like all of it is so great that I appreciate it all, really, And in chiropractic school, I was pregnant with twins and they didn't make it. They lived a half an hour, and I held them in my arms. and it was really hard and it really changed me as a person. I know, right? I can talk about it now, Jake, but there was a time. But, that was what, 16, 15 years ago. And so with time, I think that is essentially maybe if I had to pick the one thing that changed me, I think that is what allowed me to then, and the other side of that, when you come out of the cloud of that, to just appreciate it all a little bit more.
Wow.
Oh, don't cry, dude. Yeah. So there's that, and then I see them in my kids' faces. And so when the kid's crabby and the teenager, it's that time of the month and I'm shaving armpits that aren't mine. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm able to appreciate it. And like with the third kid, when they're up in the night, you're like, wow, you're cute instead of, oh, you're up again. It's just a different perspective. And to love something like that hits my heart on such a deeper level that I think I'm able to subconsciously translate that into baby patients and into adult patients when the connection is that strong, because I just can't really help it, because I need to give love is the feeling, I think.
There's not many people that can make you cry and laugh within 15 seconds. You guys, I hope you heard what Dr. Kim shared. You shared at least 6 different times the word get, that I get to do, that I get to do, that I get to do, instead of I have to do.
Yeah.
For those who have lost, it really puts in perspective time.
Yeah.
Right? I bet those 30 minutes, I can only imagine what those 30 minutes meant to you. I mean, how many of us, at the blink of an eye, 30 minutes is nothing, but to an individual, it's everything. It is literally everything. Learning to be present is the catalyst that I've discovered in my life that allows me to have joy. Not being connected, like this morning, I got my hair done. And one of the things I was noticing, I have an incredible hairstylist. She's awesome. She's one of my referral partners, refers to us massively. We have a great relationship. One of the things that I notice is she consistently is checking her, she's getting alerts. And I love to know what's going on in her life. It's like, oh my gosh, my daughter's grade, it went from a C to a C plus to a B to a B plus to an A to an A plus, and she's sharing all this great stuff with me. And my first thought is like, you're missing out on some things that I would love to share with you, and so you think like, the most important person in the world is the person that's in front of you, right? Right then, you have the ability to ask what's going on in your life. You never know what someone is going through. Simon Sinek shared a story that really hit me. They've done enough studies where when people have been through traumas and been through experience in their life to the point where they're thinking about taking their life, he shared what was one of the things that determined when people said, I got to this doorstep and I decided not to go through with that. He says it was an 8-minute conversation with a loved one or someone who cared. He goes, 8 minutes was enough to change the neurophysiology, right? To change the, pituitary adrenal, access. He says 8 minutes. And so when someone is struggling, I tell them, like, I'm going to be downright pissed off if you don't reach out to me. If you are struggling and you don't reach out and tell me. So what I've shared is, if you're to the point where, and I share this with all my practice members now, I share this with my coaching clients, I share this with my family members, said if you are getting to a dark place, and it doesn't have to be the darkest place, all you have to say is, hey, Jake, do you got 8 minutes? Because that for me is key to understand this is massive. So I had a patient 2 weeks ago that I shared this with. I said, he's had some major things going on in his life. He's tried to take his life twice. And I said, you're irreplaceable. We love you. You're needed, but you better tell me. And at 1:12 in the morning, I got a text, Doc, do you have 8 minutes? And we were able to have that conversation. You guys, you never know what someone is going through and where you might be able to be the one who takes them from going that route. Now that's the extreme other side. What about the side that plunges people from goodness to greatness, that allows them to be an even greater impact in what they do that day? I always want to think like, what's going to happen with these next few words that I say? Is it going to feed them, right? Is it going to help them fight disease, or is it going to feed disease? Is it going to feed a mental disease, or is it going to fight it? What is that going to do? So words are powerful, but using those words, like you said, at least 6 times, that I get to do, I get to be present, I get to focus and live in the moment. I think is what you shared, like being in that moment is so critical. Be connected, you guys. In each thing that you do, learn to be connected. If you're out eating, and if it's just you, well, be connected to the waiter or the waitress. You'd be amazed at the stories that people will share. and ultimately, in some cases, the benefits that you get. But man, what a powerful lesson to learn to be present, learning to do that. And we hear that all the time, but what massive benefits does that come? I mean, that's awesome. That's so huge. So let's get into the baby world, the pediatric world. So for those of you guys that are listening and that are watching this, we're going to have a link down below. But so Dr. Kim, so you have an incredible opportunity coming up January 31st, so 2025.
Yes.
January 31st, 2025. You're having a pediatric chiropractic workshop with Dr. Courtney Gowan, who, man, we love that lady. She's incredible. You're going to be at the beach having some fun. Tell us a little bit more about this opportunity.
Yeah. So, back in the day, chiropractors used to feel hair through paper, like tactile skills. I feel like with babies, I'm a Gonstead adjuster by choice when it's adults. I love the chair. I love side posture. You can't quite do that to a baby. You can't sit him in a cervical chair. But my angles and my torque and my tension and my thrust and the little bitty movements and the sand through your hands. I'm so excited, man. We're going to be at the beach, tactile skills, adjusting skills, marketing, communication, Q&A. I mean, I'm going to go to dinner. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Like, let's talk about things. I'm just excited to make a greater impact. And I think when you sign up, it's a ticket for the seminar. So you can stay anywhere you want. You can eat anywhere you want. It's literally like a class you come to. Sometimes it's on the beach, sometimes it's in the room, but I'm super pumped about it.
That's amazing. And so this is through the Wanderlearn retreats that Courtney has set up. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a Wonderlearn retreat.
Okay.
The link is on the Wonderlearn website and my website, drkimthor.com. I think there's an early bird special, so sign up whenever you want, and I'm pumped for it.
Oh, absolutely. So you guys, so here's what you'll do. So we've got we have a great opportunity for you guys to be able to learn from the greats. I mean, obviously in chiropractic, we're all massively kinesthetic, right? Chiropractic, done by hand, touch. And the most impactful experiences I've had in my life and my career have always been at retreats of that nature, masterminds of that nature, where you literally get to sit down in the sand. You get to sit down and ask intimate questions, ask the whys, or show me again, how did you do this? Why did you do this? I didn't understand that this was a cue to look for here, or if you see this, go here. Those are massive. So I hope that you guys can take advantage of experiences like this. And for those that will be in Florida, so January 16th through the 19th, we've got Podfest going on, which is going to be amazing. So for those of you guys that either want to be on other people's podcasts, or you're thinking about starting your own, or you've got one and it's kind of growing, we'll have some links again to that as well. And then right after that, go hang out with Dr. Kim and have a ball. Have you done retreats of this nature? Is this your first time? Are you a
This is
seasoned
my
vet with this?
first time. I'm
This is
so
the first
excited.
time.
Yeah, I've spoken for 4 hours at seminars, so I feel like
Correct.
I have content, but the intimacy will be pretty cool.
Yeah, which I've been privy to, so I've heard you now in person twice, three times, I think twice at least. But no, what a great opportunity to learn. And you guys, it's so fun. One of the things I've learned, going to Mile High, going to the Berkshires in Mexico, going to, New Beginnings or DE, going to these great things is, we put these incredible chiropractors on these pedestals. And then when you go to these seminars, you realize like, oh my gosh, they're just like me. She makes her lunch for her kids. Like, oh, she's changed diapers, or she also shaved her kid's armpit. Like, well, she's just like me. And you still go out and slay subluxation. It's inspiring because we think that, they've got all their stuff together. Their breath doesn't stink. They don't have to use the restroom. They're just machines. And it's like, no, they're human beings. So I would highly, highly encourage you guys, take advantage of these opportunities, and especially an opportunity like this to come learn from the greats and to also disconnect to reconnect. Man, events like this. Now I have to look at my schedule. I'm going to be very respectful, not do it during the podcast, but I want to see if I can get there. I'm always trying to hone
Oh,
my
I love
skills.
it. Yeah.
So we'll have to see if we can make this happen. But guys, take advantages. Be where things are happening, because when crisis hits, what is your foundation? You have to decide what you will decide before the moment to decide comes. So when COVID 87 pops around, what are we going to do? How are we going to face this? You have to have a foundation. Are you going to write that book that's been waiting? Are you like, what lives are you going to influence and change? Are you going to step up and inspire others to be that buddy who shows up when the fight comes and say, you know what, enough's enough. I didn't write the book, but I'm going to support the one who did. I didn't start the fight, but I'm going to support the ones who are now fighting this fight. It's things of that nature. It's so incredible. Well, Kim, you got 30 seconds. If
All
you had
right.
30 seconds, so think of this. I always like doing this on the podcast, almost like I was watching one of my things is one of my sons loves the 80s. He's an 80s nut, loves the 80s. And so we once a day we'll share funny things. So being present, right? So every day I say, okay, how can I be present with my health and with God? So how can I be my best self? How can I be present for my family? And how can I be present for the activities I get paid for? So every day I look at my schedule and say, okay, when can I send an 80s meme to my son, to my son Beckham? When can I send this funny text to my other son, Ethan? Hey, when can I check in about the test? So I want to be just like you shared, try to be present. And we're looking at those 80s videos where they would do like someone pops in a VHS tape and it's a dating thing. But it's really funny because you think, man, like you see some of these people that are so bold, but they're not trying to attract the mass. Like one guy was dressed as a Viking. One guy's dressed in all of he's got his leotard on. He's doing his aerobic stuff. And I thought, ooh, not for me. But it's funny because I thought they're actually genius because they're not trying to market to 500 women. They're trying to find that one or that two. So then the people who are interested are going to listen to their message. You've got 30 seconds today. We have countless people in our group who are mamas, who are, or on the other side of the coin, single dads or dads who are trying to be more present. They want to be good husbands. They want to be good fathers. They want to be good moms. They want to be good, good wives. They want to be chiropractors. If you had 30 seconds to give to them, what would you share? What would you share for them to understand that it's possible? Be authentic. What would you share?
Yeah, I would say that the only moment we really have is right now. You know, life goes fast, time goes fast. To connect with the current moment, to the present, to realize what's around you, to see what's right in front of you will change your life significantly. Be in control of your thoughts and make sure they're on the right place. When the brain gets less cluttered, you're able to see more clearly, live more in the moment, and change the world better, and with time, people are taking our rights away and the land of the free and the home of the brave. So the time is now to speak up, leave a legacy, shout it from the mountaintops.
Wow. Be present. Kim, thank you so much for teaching us to be present, to be even more present in our lives, to treat each moment as an absolute gift, to be present with those in front of us, to be present with yourself, to guard our thoughts, protect our thoughts, and feed them correctly. Thank you so much. So for those, again, wherever you consume, social media, if you look up Dr. Kim, and then the website again is drkimthor.com.
.com. Yep.
Super simple, guys. drkimthor.com, wherever you consume social media. Tune in for Mile High. Tune in for the Wander Learn Retreat, January 31st. Can't wait to hear you speak and to hear the value. And I know that I will be forever changed. Thank you for bringing value to my life, for teaching me to be more present. We love and appreciate you, Dr. Kim.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, Jake.
Take care.
Bye, you too.